What's up guys, Deroir here, and welcome to another episode of Hype Time. This time will probably be one of the last, if not the last, where I talk about the Revenant, because now we have every single detail about it. A lot of you guys know that I've been super hyped for the Revenant ever since we were told what it was all about conceptually. Now, I've gotten to play the Rev a few times, and it's only gotten better and better, especially the last beta event. Sure, it was still lagging some damage, and some of the skills were a bit more hazardous to use than intended, but due to all the feedback from the community, some of these things are constantly being addressed. My biggest bullet point being the skill Unrelenting Assault, which was simply an easy way to get yourself killed instead of it being the intended bursting damage skill that it was supposed to be. Well, this skill has gotten some extra power added to it, along with a constant evade while channeling. Yes! A few other things were mentioned to have been touched on, and so we're getting to a point where I really have faith that the devs will turn the Revenant into something spectacular in its final form. Well, let's do a quick run through of the remaining specifics that we've seen during the week before we start to discuss the viability of the Revenant. First off, the elite specialization was announced to be called the Herald and channels the legend of Glint, as many of us had seen coming for a while now. Now, Glint in and of herself has quite a significant backstory that I won't be diving too heavily into today, but let's just say you might see a certain type of video about her really soon. However, as many of you guys know, we've seen some of her remains resurface during Season 2 of The Living Story, so I guess it's safe to say that at least this elite specialization will actually be a part of the coming lore for Heart of Thorns. I can easily imagine Glint speaking through Ridlock to guide us, the players, in our quest against Mortimermoth. It would actually be really cool to see all the different legends interact a lot more and with a lot more intricate dialogue during cutscenes and cinematics and such. But enough about that, back to the Herald itself. The entire design of the legend skills are based around the lore and the skills surrounding Glint during the first game. The main focus of the Herald skill set is support via boons, utility, and personal defense, and so with the elite spec comes the ability to also wield a shield. Now, the first skill for the shield is called Envoy of Exuberance, which sends a burst of energy towards a target area, granting protection and healing to allies before it then returns to you and grants protection on the way back as well. The second skill is named after one of Glint's quite powerful skills, Crystal Hibernation. This skill lets you channel a shield to protect and regenerate health, meaning you cannot take damage or receive any conditions while this is active. This also gives you a Defiance bar, but if it's broken, you get stunned and get 25 stacks of Vuln. Ouch. Now, I can see the logical use of these skills in a somewhat supportive situation. Protection is quite a nice boon and the healing is decent for the first skill, but what in the world would compel me to bring this weapon with me into the heat of the fight? Crystal Hibernation seems to be so risky to play because you basically turn yourself into a sitting duck, for crying out loud. Now, I realize your opponent would have to be really fast at breaking your Defiance bar because you only channel it for 3 seconds, with a 25-second cooldown. It honestly seems like a waste to bring a shield along for your Revenant compared to any of your other offhand weapons, but that's just my opinion. Now, the legend itself does seem very interesting though. All the skills associated with Glint are linked to the 6 facets of the dragon: Chaos, Darkness, Elements, Light, Nature, and Strength. Each of these facets work as an upkeep skill, which slowly drains your energy to pulse and provides different supportive boons, but each of the skills also has a second effect, which releases different attacks. First off, the elite profession mechanic is the Facet of Nature. Whenever activated, you pulse out naturalistic resonance to nearby allies, which increases outgoing boon duration by 50%. If you decide to pop the Facet of Nature, you will unify all the boons from each of the other facets, granting you a whole ton of boons. The next skill is the Facet of Light, which is your heal skill. This gives you regeneration while active, and once you pop it, you receive a tiny bit of healing, and for 4 seconds, every incoming hit will heal you instead. Take that, super useful but quite boring Jala's heal skill. Next up is the Facet of Darkness, which pulses fury to everyone and once popped, blinds the area around you and applies reveal to all enemies. Suck it, thieves. Then there's Facet of Elements, which pulses swiftness, and once popped, you can aim an AoE attack that damages and pulses out different conditions. The fifth skill is the Facet of Strength, which pulses might and can be popped to slash out with a lot of vol into your target. Lastly, there's the Facet of Chaos, which is the elite. This skill pulses protection and can be popped for Glint herself to appear to knock back foes while granting super speed to allies. I gotta say, this skill looks incredible. Of course, in tandem with the skills comes a whole array of traits that I won't be going over too intensely, so I left a link down below for you guys to check out afterwards. A few of them seem to have some real interesting play though, such as Hardening Persistence, which stacks toughness for each upkeep skill you activated apparently. Or at least that's what it looked like on the stream. Also, the trait Elder's Force seemed to create a perfect synergy for Glint to be part of a heavy damage build. As a final note, this week we also got info on the underwater skills and weapons for the Revenant, which seem nice in and of themselves, but nonetheless, since underwater combat isn't exactly a super heavy topic, I simply left a link down in the description for you guys to go and check out. In full honesty, underwater skills just doesn't raise my pulse unless I'm gonna have to actually mind them whenever the fractals change and I'm gonna be forced into the underwater fractal. Now, I have to say, I am very intrigued by the entire potential that the Legend of Glint holds. If we just turn a blind eye to the shield, that is. The power and utility that these facets provide to the Revenant just seems so well designed for the Revenant to rise in its level of usefulness. It potentially synergizes really well with both the fully supportive Ventari as well as the more damage-inspired Shiro. And not only that, the elite mechanic itself seems to really be able to provide some interesting numbers in a group setting. I honestly cannot wait to get to play the Revenant for more than just a weekend. Can we pretty please soon get that release date? Now tell me guys, how do you feel about the Revenant? Tell me in the comment section down below. At this point, I've talked so extensively about the Revenant, I honestly have little more to say about the Revenant other than the fact that I, for one, really want it to be a viable option for more than just niche scenarios. It seems to have so much potential on so many fronts. I just really hope that it won't just be half decent at everything but not really good at anything. I would have no quarrel switching main to Revenant, but that is only if the numbers are competitive enough. I would hate for Revenant to simply turn into another Necromancer in terms of popularity. So, well, that's all I have for you guys this time. Thank you all for watching. Until next time, I will see you in the mists.